Hello, I'm Hugh, I'm an artist. I didn't buy this shoe, I made it for a production, a performance piece about Aladdin. And I had an Aladdin costume that I found at Deptford Market, which might have been actually the starting point for the piece, I can't remember. Deptford Market is an amazing junk market in South London. So I made then, out of corrugated cardboard and parcel tape, these shoes, and I somehow got hold of the little bell to go on the pointy bit at the end. And somewhere along the way, I think I made 4 or 6 of them, and somewhere along the way I've lost 3 or 5. So I've only got this one now as a kind of a souvenir from that performance. You can see, I think, from there's some scuffing on the bottom from the performance we made. I'm not sure if I wore them other than for that performance and making them and trying them on, obviously. They're not very durable. They were propped, you know, it was like they would last for the length of the performance, but you couldn't really walk very far in them. I've got to say, sometimes I don't tie my laces because sometimes I just at the end of the day, just pull my shoes off without untying the laces, and then in the morning I just jam my feet into them without undoing the laces. But I still put my shoes on, so I think I'm flailing about at that point in the day mostly. I'm kind of out of bed, hopefully I've got some ideas about what I'm going to do that day. But I might not have been able to form them into a coherent plan for the day yet at that point. So I'm mainly thinking about what I'm going to have for breakfast, whether I'm going to go to the toilet before I make my breakfast, whether I've got any pants to put on that are clean. Or, well, I take that back. I have got clean pants, but they might not be my favourite ones. I've always got enough clean pants, but there's about 5 pairs of pants that I don't really like wearing because they're not very comfortable. So, you know, that's one of the things that I have in the morning. Yeah, walking through London, I think you see you see London in a very different way. One of the things in London is that there's quite often large distances between places that I want to be. So I live about half an hour cycle away from college, which I go to most days. And I don't know how far that is in miles. It might be like 5 miles, 6 miles. And there's no way that I could walk that far every day. It would take too much time, I think. So I'm normally cycling, and sometimes I, for whatever reason, stop in the middle of that journey and have a look at actually what is there, and it's always quite surprising. And most days I just cycle past it and I don't notice because I'm focused on getting where I need to be. So I love the tube. I think Transport for London is amazing, but it does change the city, because I remember they were talking about putting an underground in Cambridge. And one of the objections to that is it changes the nature of the city. And I think it's probably true, because you kind of go down a hole one place and then you come up a hole in another place without really much awareness of what's in between. So I wonder what London was like before the tube, because everyone would have been up on the surface, you know, encountering each other in a different way. If you're asking about empathy, then I think we all do that naturally all the time. That seems really an important part of being a human. there's an artist called Hannah Nicklin, and she talks about the experience of walking through London and just encountering so many people that there's no way that you don't know. Well, even if you knew them, there's no way that you could empathise with all of those people. It would be overwhelming. So there's a kind of tolerance, or like after a certain point you just have to ignore people, not acknowledge them as a unique human being. That in some ways that's necessary, just from a self-preservation point of view, just to cope. But it's really important to be able to find spaces for encountering other humans in a more, in a much more kind of intimate way. Otherwise, you kind of lose touch with that social side of being a human. Every human needs food. Every human needs water, shelter, and a sense of companionship with fellow human beings, like work, or say, for example. But I think a companionship and a sense of purpose in relation to other people is a big part of meaningful work. So, I'd say that they're the essential things. I like the idea that it's possible to move freely from country to country in Europe. And as a UK citizen, it's relatively easy to go anywhere in the world. I think a lot about organising life so that I can do what I want to do. So in terms of going through life, that feels like that's an ongoing project of kind of organising things so that to enable me to do what I want to do. And I guess I'm kind of pursuing quite an unconventional life journey in some ways. The difficulty, I guess, of working outside of conventional lifestyle, what people would regard as, the kind of normal lifestyle. It's a difficulty, but it's also a great opportunity, and it's great joy as well, because doing the normal thing is sometimes a bit boring. So, and also, I'm not comfortable living within predominantly capitalist economic paradigm. So, I kind of have to try and find an alternative. I mean, I might, do up a house or something, in which case that would be a tangible material legacy. But there's also a lot of, the footprint of all of us is that's quite problematic. So, in a way, there's lots of things there's lots of tangible physical legacy that I don't want to leave. If you were walking in my shoes, I don't think you'd be. I wouldn't want you to walk. I'd want you to have a bit of a boogie. I remember a guy, a friend of mine, telling me that it's always good to have more than one pair of shoes, because then you can alternate and make them both last longer. So in the same spirit, I think I've got a number of ideas that I'd like to develop. I don't really know which one is going to be most fruitful, or I think I feel a bit like this.